That music just hit at exactly the right time then. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing all right. Hope you're well. Hope you're keeping good. Hope you can hear me all right. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, and we're live, as we like to do on a Wednesday. Can United start again? You wouldn't want them to. They'd lose the 20 titles. HP Poulet Furtif, I love you too. Oh, I should really put this on. Completely forgot to turn that one on. Hello, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope you're all well. Tonight, I don't really have much that I can do, unfortunately, for you live. I'm currently in the midst of finishing off an Ardboys tutorial. Here they are. Well, I'm not really finishing him off. I'm starting him. And we've had a little bit of a remodel, as you can see here. We have a lovely little sideboard. I shared this on Instagram. All my paints are up here now. If I just tilt the camera a little bit, you can see it. Look at that gloriousness. Behold. It's very dark. But yeah, I thought we could hang out, we could chat for a little bit. I might do a little bit of like basing here and there if I have some time. But good evening, Leek Speaks. Sneaky chicken in English. Gotcha. Sneaky chicken. Hello, love your tutorials. And I love you too. Thank you very much. Mark, good evening. Member for 25 months. Absolute legend, Mark. 25 months. We've almost been in the same length of relationship as Alice and I. Alice and I have been together a little bit longer. Is that the light you paint with? Yes. It is. I paint with this light up here, and there's another one above the camera, which I might twist around a little bit because it's actually just blowing out the camera a little bit. The not colour coordination hurts my OCD. Well, Paul, if you could read all the names, they are all in alphabetical order, so that might help. So I keep my paints all in alphabetical order and in order of type. So along the top here is my shades. So the shades go along the top shelf, and then underneath it we have all of the contrast paints, and then underneath that we have the layer base paints, and then underneath that we have the layer paints. And because once it's in alphabetical order, I know that if I'm looking for, say, Gawthor brown, rather than searching all the shades of brown that are just thrown in there in color formation, I can just pull it off the rack. So for example, without looking, I know that this one here is Eldari Emerald, that's Aethermatic Blue, that's Agaros Dunes, and that's Achillean Green. Big Bad Peter Gaming, member for 2 months. Very nice collection. Now you need to organise them. Trust me, there is organisation. Hello, Brother Ferris. Good evening, the Mini Creative. Hello, William. Trust me, when it comes to organising your paints, if you know what paint you're after, do it by alphabetical order. You can thank me later. So, like, deep in the corner in there, that's where I keep my spares. So they're on a different set of shelves in the corner there. But so from here on, like this, it also means that when I put them back, I know exactly where they go. So, for example, Agrak Surfshade goes right in there, Because Agrax Earthshade is the first paint in the shade category, AG, right? So Agrax, Athonian, Berserker, Baeltan, Karaberg, Cassandora, Quelia, Drakenhof, Druki, Fuegan, Croak, Green, Mortarion Grime, Nuln Oil would go there, Poxwalker goes there, Seraphim Sepia, Reichland Fleshshade, Soulblight Grey, Targor Rage Shade, Tyron Blue, and then Contrast Medium sits in there. So that's what we do. Gatorbot, Warhipster, I've been following your tutorials for AOS Nurgle Army and I'm loving them. I can't find Contrast Medium anywhere. What would you recommend as an alternative? Larmian Medium works. Airbrush Thinner also works. It's like the big pot of Vallejo stuff that they do. I also quite like this one, Water Plus from Instar Paints. If you can get hold of that, they're pretty good. Alternatively, you can use Speed Paint Medium and you can use Express Medium as well. I hate to ask, but is there going to be a guide for the new Pure Strain Gene Stealers? Yes, there is. I just need to find the time to do it. Because obviously Tyranids came out, and then directly after it, we had the Oryx and Trug, the Troggoth King. And I was more excited about the Oryx and Trug on that, so I was like, I'm just going to do them. Hello, one of the three best friends. That's me. And for those of you who are here as the pre-show, Liam goes live in 22 minutes. I think. Have you ever painted a model kit like a tank or a Gundam? When I was a kid, D9, I used to paint Airfix models. I used to paint planes and the occasional ship as well. When I was a wee bab. Space Marines fairly soon as well. Yeah, one can hope. So yeah, we've had Cities of Sigmar followed by Tyranids, and then we've had Oryx straight after it. So yeah, it's been a crazy busy time. For I am just one Warhipster. If you'd like me to hire another Warhipster, do please consider becoming a YouTube member. Would you say you are at 10,000 yet? Roughly 3 hours a day for 10 years. 10,000 hours, that is. Oh, yeah. I probably put that in over the last sort of 3 years, maybe. Edward. Hello, Josh. Thank you for the tutorials. They are amazing. Thank you. That's very kind of you. That's very kind of you. So I've been thinking, guys. I've been thinking, franchising the Warhipster name like a McDonald's. It's weird that you said that, Ultra, because we watched The Founder on Sunday or Monday, which is a film obviously about McDonald's. Will you paint Forge World Fulgrim? If they send him to me, I will. If they don't, I will pick it up and it will happen at a later date. We shall see. Do you have a Discord? I do, Gatorbot. You can become a member of the Discord by joining via Patreon or via the YouTube memberships. And I believe YouTube memberships you can join for as little as 99p. That's how you can do it. But yeah, so I've been thinking, guys. I've been thinking a lot about this question because, and there's two parts to this. I have been contemplating selling my entire collection, bar a few couple really sentimental pieces. I've been contemplating it. And the reason I've been contemplating it is because more and more I realise that I'm sitting on a pile of money, basically, with all these painted miniatures. And the purpose behind selling it would be to have either the deposit for studio space or a house that Alice and I can move to. That way we can actually move somewhere for a studio that's properly set up so that we can do even more content, that type of thing. And the reason I've been thinking about that is because, you know, it's a quick way of getting there. But the second part of this is, if I did that, how would I start again? Because I'm talking fire sale. Pretty much everything's gone, right? So, like, where would I invest my cash in terms of Warhammer for me to continue to engage in Warhammer, right? So, like, if the whole plan was, you know, if I sold everything, right, and then we moved to somewhere so that I can actually do a bunch of battle reports, for example, I would need some armies. So, I mean, what do I not sell in order to do that? Or do I start again and actually have the armies, buy and paint the new armies, do videos specifically about that? Like, we're rebuilding the Horde, as it were, the Dragon's Horde. So then I was like, what is this question? Is like, if I started again, what would I want to do? And I was really stumped. I was like, would I want to do a 40k army? Is that something I would want to do? Do I do 40k armies because I'm already invested? Or would I do a 40k army because I love it? And that was a really big question for me. So I know that for AOS, I would just be like, yeah, I'm in. I'll do it. I don't know what I would do, but I know that I would do it. I'd probably Stormcast again, to be honest. But I would probably pick, you know, one Stormhost and stick with it. Because I've got 3, you see. So I've got the Hammers of Sigmar up here. And I've got the Celestial Vindicators from Dominion. And I've got a fair-sized Hallowed Knights force. And I've got a 4th one, actually, the Anvils of the Heldenhammer, which is an army that I've had that's like, I've been wanting to sell for a while because I'm just never going to use it. Do you see what I mean? So, like, what would I do? And I touched on this briefly earlier with Liam and Joe on their live stream. Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, what is the thing? So, like, you know, I've got an Imperial Knights lance that I'm just never going to use. I haven't used it since I've built it and painted it. It's just sat in my cupboard, and I'm like, well, I could move that on. And then I was like, what if you fire sale the whole lot? Because, like, surely somebody out there would have need of... So, like, for example, in here, there's Marnius Calgar, there's Tigurius, there's, what's his name? Ventress. There is Torgaradon, there's Shrike, Adrax Agatone, Phyros, however you say his name. You know, Corsair Khan. He's been here he's been my comparison marine for the last couple of videos. Yeah, see, that's it. Big bad Peter Gaming. Have you got any Caradron units to sell? I just switched from Warcry to AOS, and I'm already spending too much money on it. But having one of your pieces, wow, that would be awesome. I have 2. I have Drekky Flint, and I have the Code Right. Why not do painting commissions? If I started again, I wouldn't do any painting commissions. And the reason why is that painting commissions are great, and it's amazing to be able to give that opportunity to, or be able to give that to somebody who really wants that model painting, for example. But as I've kind of moved more and more into YouTube, more and more people want them, which isn't a bad thing. But what they want is the thing you've already done. So I put out a video of how to paint the Moor Grunter, for example. Someone will then get in touch and say, how much would it be to paint me an army of Moor Grunters? And it's like, it took me a day and a half to paint one. If you then want 10 of them, that's 3, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 3, 6, 9, 12. That's 15 days where I can't make any videos because I'm painting Moor Grunters. You see what I mean? What are we buying? Plops of Corn, thank you very much for the $1.99. What's the topic for today? I missed the start. The topic for today is, what would you do if you had to start again? Still waiting on that Noise Marine tutorial. I will see if I can pick up the anniversary Noise Marine, because the old ones are just ugh. You've got to think of me, Flyan. I'd have to put them together, and then paint them, and then suffer all the people telling me that they're terrible models. So this is the question, isn't it? Because once you've done this hobby for a while, you might really love where you started, and you stay where you started. But once you've done it for a while, you then kind of start to look back and you go, actually, you might find your passion elsewhere, right? So you might buy let's say you buy a core box to start with, and you paint up your Space Marines and you really enjoy them, and then you go to your first event and then you're playing against other people, and you notice that everybody's playing a completely different style of gameplay to you, and you're like, well, I want to do that. And then a model might come out, or a new range might come out. You're like, oh, that's really cool. And then you go, well, I've got all of these Space Marines, I'm going to start this next army. But there are some things, that often is what happens from a lot of people. But then there are some things where it just stays with you forever. Like it's the way that you enjoy playing, and it's the thing that you enjoy the most. And I think for a lot of people that is 40k. Space Marines is where you start, and Space Marines is where you die. But there are some times where you might like get into, say, Age of Sigmar, for example, and you might start with Stormcast, but then you don't really like them. But then you discover that there's things like the Sylvaneth, for example, and then you just build out a massive Sylvaneth army. And sometimes there can be that little bit of like, oh, I wish I just started with these in the first place. And I'm curious to know what you guys would do, because I think, I don't think I would army build. I think I would army build really slowly. I think it would be really slow. What would I do? Bin 40k and buy a 3D printer. I can't endorse that. You'd regret it, I think. There is a good chance that I would regret it. I want a named Chthonian Berserk leader for Leagues of Votann so that I can finally have an excuse to make a 40k Gotrek kit bash. Holy diver. How dare you. In this channel, in this economy, you want to take an AOS mini and turn it into 40k? Why I order? No, you do what you want. Sounds cool. I love my Gotrek. Where is he? He's in here somewhere. He might be down there. Oh no, he's over there. He's over there. How do I join the YouTube community? It should say underneath this video, there should be a join button that will let you become a YouTube member. Like directly under the video, under the stream. Let me check. Check I haven't been completely demonetized. Stop it. Oh no, I can't look because it's my channel. I can't sign out either. Good evening, Ricky. Or Gatorbot, if you chat loads, like if you just spam chat and then somebody gifts memberships, you might get a membership and you don't even have to pay for it yourself. Wouldn't that be something? A mini hoarding dragon. Yeah, I keep everything. I'm the same. I keep every single miniature, and I'm like, this is a problem because, you know, I have this wonderful relationship with Games Workshop now where I do get minis ahead of time, and I get to build them and paint them for all of you guys, and then I have them, and then they inspire me to do more. The problem is time. I don't have enough time to do all of that stuff. Which can be a little tricky. Let me see if I can find out for you, Gatorbot. Let me just have a look. Are you in the app? You're in the app. See, I still can't check because I'm logged in. Should I see what happens if I try and... Oh, hang on. I know what I can do. I still have the sprues chopped up. See, I still have a lot of sprues, and then I get to the point of where I can't have any sprues anymore. So then I either take some bits from them that I think are going to be useful, or I just end up binning them off. Let me see if I can... Let's see. Let's see if this works. This might be stupid. It might not work. Vicious Goose, Holy Diver, Kataro, Uncle Buck, Sir Lad. Damn it! I can keep gifting members until you get one, Gatorbot, but then I'll be broke. I'm Alex from Germany. I find you make top models grade jobs. Oh, thanks, Alex. That's very kind of you. You had gifts disabled. Well, there you go. You can gift yourselves, Carl. It's a false economy though, because you're putting your own money into your channel and then you get 70% back of it. He can get memberships now. He's got it turned back on. So if anyone wants to gift some memberships, then Gator might get one next time. It's because I've signed up to my own. So you have to sign up to your own channel. Cat and Manners, thank you very much for the one. You have to sign up to your own channel to then be able to gift memberships. So it's slightly weird, but you can do it. But yeah, it is a slightly false economy, but it is a good way of being like, hey guys. Mike's painted Minnie's gifting of 5. Hero. There you go, get it, Bart! You got it! Yeah! There you go, Mike's painted Minnie's nailed it. So now you have the perk to be able to join the Discord. Congratulations. Also, congratulations to Niall and Tolrex. Hey, Josh, how do you strip your models? I use purple drink. It is it methylated spirits? Yes. Yeah, methylated spirits, which you can pick up from pretty much anywhere. I look away for a second. And just like that, we're within touching distance of 300. 20 memberships. Thank you very much, Guitaro. That is very, very kind of you. I started again multiple times, but I do enjoy painting whole armies, so I like the challenge of a big project, planning and executing it, etc. Do you know what? I think one of the things as well that I would really like to do if I was to start again is to like just custom build the army. Because that's a skill I don't have, and I currently don't have the time nor the patience to do. But I would love to just like whatever I picked. So like I think there's genuinely quite a lot a really good there's a really good opportunity with Cities of Sigmar and with Old World coming, that you can combine them plus the Astra Militarum models, the new ones, to make some really unique Astra Militarum regiments. And you will get you just get a lot of you would be able to custom build a really unique looking regiment, which would be really, really cool. And that is something that I've also thought about. Carl of Hodgie gifting the 5 memberships. My goodness me, you guys, what's going on? Are we gonna get 21 more? Are we gonna hit that 300? Is that gonna happen? If people keep gifting memberships, maybe you won't have to sell your collection. Well, Mr. Warcraze, in an ideal world, I could do both. If we had massive amounts of members, and I could sell stuff for a real cut rate. So this is the thing, right? Because like in my mind, the best thing that can possibly happen is say, financially the channel is secure for the future, so that when I get stuff in and I paint them, I can then either give them away or sell them at the rate you would have bought them from Games Workshop, that type of thing. So at recommended retail price. And then you'd and then I would also have more people who work on the channel, so we would be able to get through stuff a lot quicker. So like, you know, if I didn't have to do the builds, if I could hire somebody who was like, because I was thinking about this as well, is stuff that would be really cool for the channel is to have like a model technician expert. So somebody who's really good at building, magnetizing, customizing, all that stuff. So doing all of that good stuff. And actually they come on board and it's their job to make those sprue reviews that I like to do. So they sit and really go through like, hey, look, this one's here. This is a clean joint on this wrist. You could do this with this. You could put this there, this, that, and the other, to show the real options that are within the kit. Vicious Goose 117. Thank you for the $9.99. Don't sell your body of work unless it's for a house. Life goals, lol. I could sell my body for for a house. If Alice is watching, she'll I'm sure she would have thoughts about that. What about Terrain Maker? Yeah, Rez, this is the thing, is to also have somebody who, I'm thinking like less about kind of traditional tech roles that you would have within sort of a corporation, right? But more about how do we take what I think you guys really like about the Contrast Plus tutorials, and how do we move that into terrain, building boards, building specifically, you know, even stuff like mechanical products that you would use in hobby. Because I think, you know, there's always this thing of like, there will be a trend every so often where someone will buy something from somewhere, and it'll be like, this is the best thing ever, everybody has to buy it, and then everyone will run out and buy that one thing, because our community of Warhammer is quite small. It's not like general like computing tech, for example, where if you know, a new GPU comes out from a new provider, that it gets rigorously tested by a lot of people and they give you a recommendation of whether or not you should buy. But also you then have a lot of brand loyalty within that. So if you take the example of something like, say, a Vortex mixer, Vortex mixers are really cool, but is there another thing out there that's cheaper, better, easier to use or whatever? So like somebody said the other day, like, buy a Vortex mixer, and I was like, but you can get those massage guns. You see them all the time, right? That just have that thing on the end that vibrate right into you, right? It's to kind of give you that deep tissue massage. That would do the same thing, but they're a quarter of the price. I'm ignoring you. Have I been ignoring you, Colonel? I did not mean to ignore you. Have you been asking me questions? Sell your body. We want a goddamn hot tub stream. Stu McDude. Thank you very much for becoming a member. You've put us on 280. The Hitachi Magic 1. Well, now, hold on. Hold on. Because those things cost a lot of money. Rez, I've always had it in my mind that if I could hire anyone to make boards and terrain, it would be you. You are the person at the top of the list. I would be like, there we go, that's the man. Problem is, you do have to move out of London, because I'm not moving my operation to London. The operational costs alone would be... we wouldn't be able to pay for you. When is the next one due? The next one is due tomorrow, Wiggles Bottom. The next one... In fact, why don't you, in the chat, decide now. What do you want to see next? Zogrok Anvil Smasher or the Ardboys Big Boss? The choice is yours. Because I haven't finished the Ardboys yet. Nearly finished them, but I haven't finished them yet. And for those waiting for Trug, if you are a YouTube member or a Patreon subscriber, you should be able to see it early now. You can go and watch that video now. But that video will be out on general release on Saturday. Anvil Smasher. Anvil Smasher. Big boss. Need all that clonk, please. Yep, clonk. Clonk's in the video. There he is. Or do you think there will be? I think there will be, yeah. I think there'll be like a Vanguard Iron Jaws. Just painting something different. Riders of Rohan. Still lost my mojo. I'm trying to get it back. I have been feeling really tired lately and have a doctor's appointment coming up. Colonel, you should take the time. You should never force. Painting. You should just take a beat and just hold it. So like, I can't ever afford to take time off usually, but like sometimes if I'm not feeling it, I will just step away for an hour and a half. Would you use the clonk scheme for other squigs like squig hoppers? Yeah, maybe. I think it looks pretty good. He's a little small though. The actual technique might have to be squig hopper specific. Sadly, no army box for the new Iron Jaw. Yeah, no, I don't know why. Oh, excuse me. Thank you very much, Mark, for the 10. That is very, very kind of you. Chat is pogging off today. I believe that's what the kids say. Yeah, no, I think the best advice I can give, the best advice I can give for that kind of blockage and that inspiration of wanting to paint is taking that step away and just being okay with taking that step away. Oh, Man United have scored. Lovely. That's good to see. Favourite break snacks? Go. See, I love a packet of jelly tots. Absolutely love a packet of jelly tots. And donuts. I'm really partial. Really partial to just ready salted crisps at the moment. But yeah, I think the other thing I would say, Colonel, sir, is that sometimes it can feel like you're letting down your hobby interest, and actually you're, by forcing yourself to stay in it when you're not feeling it that day, you're actually just, you're actually just punishing yourself. It becomes more like work and a job, and it shouldn't be like that. It should just be fun. But there are other ways to obviously engage with Warhammer. So, stepping away and listening to an audiobook or watching a YouTube battle report or something like that is a really good way to try and get that inspo back. It's a really good way to do that. So just like having that time to just sit and kind of just enjoy the thing. And like, if you're painting Riders of Rohan, if you're painting Lord of the Rings, like, just go and watch the Ride of the Rohirrim. Just watch that and just sit, turn the lights off, turn the score up, and listen and just enjoy. Arise, arise, Riders of Theoden. Oh, it's a tried and true technique for me that if I'm not feeling it, I can just go away, enjoy some extra adjacent content, I would say, and I'm right back in it. I'm like, let me at them. Because when I was doing the Rohan battle host, I was like, there's so much to do, but I was like, no, come on, this is what we do. We go and watch those clips, and I watched those clips, and I was back in. I was all about it. Just Snowy. I would not buy several armies to eventually get to the one I like. Last 3 months since starting, I have had and fully painted up Sons of Bahamut, then Seraphon, then KO, finally landed on Oryx. The Oryx are pretty cool. That's cool. I mean, you do have 4 really cool armies there. Just Snowy. You're very welcome, Mark. Also, you could go nuts on a display base if the painting isn't doing it for you right now. I've been playing with making a little stream for a Suggs fishing goblin. Oh, that's sick. I like watching your videos for inspiration. Afterwards, I get the urge to take up the paintbrush. Your mail, that's very kind of you. I'm glad I can inspire you. I mean, it's not the sage advice I would. I mean, it's the sage advice I should say. I should say, you know, the best way to get inspired to paint miniatures is to go back to video number 1 on the Warhipster channel and just watch. Of all, however many I've got now, I don't even know how many it is. I have 681 videos. Which these days doesn't actually sound like a lot, given as people are pumping out, you know, daily TikToks and things like that. But, you know, I've got videos that are like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. So, you know, I've got some feature films. I'm trying to find see if there's a way I can... How to paint neophyte hybrids 4 years ago. Crikey. When did I go full time? I can't remember now. It would have been post then. It would have been... Yeah, it's been about 2 years we've been doing this full time. Must be. Yeah, because yeah, 2 years. No, that can't be right. Has it been 3 years? Technically it's 3. No, yeah, two and a bit years. We're approaching 3, yes, because it would have been April. Hello, Thierry. I was about to call you Thierry. Any chance of pink Space Marines? Yeah, there's always a chance of pink Space Marines. What kind of pink Space Marines would you like? Bright baby pink? Pinky pink? Just a noob that only found you recently. Couch marriage, 5 months is a long time. You know, we're 4 months away from our first baby together. 4 months. We're halfway through our second trimester. Barbie Space Marines. So like a proper like a Fulgrim pink-esque pink. Yeah, I mean that's something we could certainly look at doing. Probably do something that's like probably end up just doing like High Fleet Leviathan basically. It's certainly something that we could look at. I was going to ask actually. given as that we know that there are new Space Marines coming. Now, bearing in mind, the new Space Marines that we have coming are a Terminator Chaplain. We have Terminator Chaplain. We have the Jump Pack Captain. We have the Jump Assault Intercessors. The new Terminators are getting their multi-part kit. The Stern Guard are getting their multi-part kit. And there's the Company Heroes as well. Am I forgetting anything? The new Terminator Captain as well. He's another one. Is that 7 new model kits? Should I look it up? I should look it up. New Space Marines. New Space Marines. It's not going to be here in an easy to look for way, but we'll just do it anyway. Space Marines. No, that's just Googling the word space. Here we go. Oh, the new Scouts, of course. So Company Heroes. Stern Guard Veterans. Yeah, that's literally all it's showing me in this article. Okay. I think I got them all. Anyway. What I was thinking. Yeah, there's new Scouts, yeah. What I was thinking, guys, and do let me know your thoughts on this. The Jump Pack guys obviously go into the Blood Angels. Obviously. No question of that. Do I do the others as a different Space Marine army? And if so, which one? And I will caveat that by saying, please pick one that most people know. And also, no homebrew chapters, because I'm not making videos about homebrew chapters. Will you make a contrast plus tutorial for Trog and his Troggoth friends? JPL, the Trog video is available on early access at the moment for my Patreons and YouTube members. Patreon subscribers and YouTube members. The video will be out on Saturday, so yep, it's coming. So don't you worry about that. The Troggoths, I will endeavour to do at a later date, but I do have to move on to my next project. So I've got to finish the Iron Jaws. I've got 2 Hard Boys left to do, and then they're done. And then I've got to move on to the next thing. If I've got time, I will try and paint one of the Troggoths this weekend, but I don't know if I will have time because I've got this guy to do, Cypher. I've got him to do. And I've got a pile of miniatures I need to build. And it's my birthday next week as well. I'll be turning 33. Marvel or DC? I think Marvel has more approachable characters. DC has a much better villain stable and a much darker. They're different things, right? I mean, you can lump them together, but they're different things ultimately. Will you be painting the rest of the new NIDs? Yes, I will. Sorry I've missed so much of this tonight. Don't have kids, folks, especially not teenage daughters. No. It's alright. You can miss as much. You can always catch up on demand. I thought you were 70. Sometimes it feels like it, given as how my body is falling apart. But no, I'm not. I'm almost halfway there. I'd like to see a good updated tutorial for each first founding chapter. I mean, I did do the legions. Does that count? Where's my gore grunters? Curtis, I have not forgotten about your gore grunters. Don't worry, but I have to buy some. I to sate you, I have done the Moor Grunter, and I've done Zogrok, Anvil Smasher, and I've done the Big Boss, and I'm doing the Ard Boys. How do members watch the early access videos? You should either go to Patreon. If you're a Patreon subscriber, go to patreon.com. If you are a YouTube member, go to the YouTube, go to my channel page, click on community, and there should be a post there at the top that says members. If you're a member, it should say members only, and you should be able to see it there. Psycho Babbers, thanks for the Maw Crusher tutorial. Looking forward to following it for my own mini. That's very kind of you. Thank you. So yes, I hope that will be enough I hope that will be enough Iron Jaws content to sate you for a little while, Curtis, whilst I procure those gore grunters for you. Don't worry. So what have we had? We've had Dark Angels for the Company Heroes, Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, Salamanders. Yeah, the Ard Boys video isn't far away now. So we're doing Zogrok tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday, isn't it? Yeah, so Zogrok tomorrow. Maybe the Big Boss on Friday, Trug on Saturday, Ard Boys on Sunday, or possibly Thursday the next weekend. Do the poster, one of each chapter. Do you know what? I probably have enough Space Marine models and various intercessors and things in order to do that. Colonel makes a good point there. Come on, everybody. Like the stream. Like the stream. And I will do a little dance. Make a little love. Are you doing Legions Imperialis when released? I think... Have you asked that question before? Because I've said I will do it if that's what people want. I might do like a rolled in video because I don't really know how you do Contrast Plus, how to paint Legions Imperialis. Because it's just like, what colours did you use? Red and black. That was it. Because they're so tiny. So what I might do is like a how to build your army, how to paint your army, and then like a look at the sprues. Obviously, we'll do that sprue review type thing. Yeah, that's something that we can do. You started the Contrast versus Classic series, but it only has like 2 vids. Yeah, I know you, Mel. It's because Contrast versus Classic is really easy to do when you've got lots of time. And also when it's like, I've already covered it. So like, the reason I did the Dark Angels and the Blood Angels ones was because I'd already covered the Blood Angels. I've already covered Blood Angels and Dark Angels quite substantially. And I was like, well, I've got these spare Space Marines from these releases, so it's relevant to this box. I will do that now. Whereas sometimes with newer things, so like for example, doing something like Contrast versus Classic on, let's say, Steel Helms doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because it doesn't need it. Let's have something like... But, yeah, no, I need to go back to doing it. So we could do... I guess we could do more of the Space Marine things. with that. But then you don't really want. It's like it would be things like you would prefer something like contrast versus classic Deathwing Terminators, right? Which makes sense. But is there as much? This is the question I go through with myself all the time. Is there as much value in that as there is in, say, how to paint just not Deathwing, because we've already done that, but how to paint like Salamanders Terminators, for example. Just paint one of every faction. 200 videos. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there very slowly, Barry. How do we donate YouTube memberships? I missed it. Underneath the chat, you should have. Hang on. So if I open up Edge, different browser. Is it this one? Yeah, so underneath, there's... Oh, no, not that. There should be a little... If you click on the little kind of dollar sign, there's a way in there to do it.
We're wide open for...
Yeah, so underneath there. So you click on the little, like, kind of little cash symbol. It's a little rectangle with a dollar sign in it. And underneath it, because you are a member, there should say membership gifting. Buy membership for multiple viewers. If you wish to do that. Don't presume for me to tell you what to do. 44 likes on the stream. There we go. We're pumping those numbers. I love to see it. I will take the little dance at Warhipster, not the little love. I'm hurt. You don't want my little love? There's my little dance. As also asked a question of, will you be streaming on your birthday? Yeah, I probably will. My birthday is on Tuesday. My birthday is on Tuesday, so I'll either stream Tuesday or Wednesday. What's a model you thought you would really like painting but ended up hating painting it? King Brod. King Brod. And by the end I loved it. But it just went on for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So I couldn't, I just couldn't, I got really frustrated with it towards the end. Because I was like, I can't, how is there still more? 26th of September. Yes, that is my birthday. I shan't tell you the year, but the mathematicians can figure it out. I did just share your stream, but most of my viewers are American, so not sure they're awake yet. Well, that's very kind of you, Curtis. Thank you. Drag him out of bed. Get out of here. I don't have a PO box. I should set one up. I just have my I just have my postal address, which I can give out. But I shouldn't do that on the internet. If you message me asking for my address, I will send it to you. How long does it take you to paint a model like King Broad or something like Angron? Right, so this is the thing, right? When you compare models like King Broad and Angron, Angron is fundamentally 4 colours. He's red, he's black, he's brass, and he's got some silver on him. Fundamentally. It's a couple of, obviously, a couple of like varying details on there, but nonetheless, he's like 4 colours. King Broad is, when you look at him, he's 1 colour, but he's not, because he's got so many details on him that actually, once you've got the flesh done, it feels like you're nearly there. But then you've got that kind of off grey of the hammer handle, you've got the brown on there, you've got the yellow in there, you've got various different kinds of reds and browns of the leather and all this kind of thing. You've got the bone on the helmet, you've got the hair, you've got the face, you've got all of this kind of thing. So what he has is he has an abundance of different coloured details, which you could simplify to do as just a couple of specific details, but that's not what you guys pay me for. You pay me for the, you know, for the box art type thing, to get as close as we possibly can. So that's what we do. So King Broad, I believe, took me 3 days. Angron took me 1 day. The Moor Grunter, for example, that took me a day to do. Day and a half ish. Moor Grunter took longer than Trug did. But Trug had a lot more drying time. You felt like that about Storm Boys. I started watching your videos while feeding my newborn. 7 months later, that's still happening in my wife, and I refer to you as Uncle Warhipster to her. That's the very touching thing to say. Thank you. Croak was annoying. Croak took me a little while. Yeah, he took 2 or 3 days. Gabriel dropping the 10 gifted. That is very kind of you. Look at that. 10 away from 300 now. Congratulations to all those who just gained a membership. If you haven't already, please do join the Discord. That would be very kind of you. How was painting Trug? Trug was quite fun. There was a lot of drying time involved in it. And the biggest challenge for him was trying to make sure that I got the colour right, because he's got like a dark brown purple skin. And I was like, how am I going to achieve that without making it too complicated? And I don't think I made it too complicated. I think I did it just about right. I have a question about the Moor Grunter. Which variant do you see being the better version for competitive play? I assume it would be partnered with Gore Grunters. Let me pull up Reign of the Brute. I can't pull it up on stream because, but I can give you my advice. So I think that, where are you, Reign of the Brute? There you are. Oh, no, I need the password. 1 minute. So I think that there is a lot of play in there we go. Okay. So I really like the Tusk Boss. I think he's really good because once I get to his rules, takes a while, you see. So I can't remember offhand what the Iron Jaws allegiance abilities are. Someone will have to remind me in the chat. But I think that Grunter Stampede has its place. I don't know if it's competitive, but I think it's pretty good, especially if you are going to tech into things like having lots of gore grunters and stuff like that, because you get Trig, the real Troll King, on top of the Mount Truck. He was great. He is the true king. Gore grunters, no, it doesn't actually specifically say in here, but there is a thing where it does interact with gore grunters, I think. Who is it? Where is it? So one of the cool things I really like about this is you can pick. So you've got mount traits in here. You can pick up to 3 friendly Moor Grunter units to have each have one different mount trait from the table below. If you pick a unit that has more than one model, each model in that unit has the mount trait. So if you then scroll back down, your Moor Grunters are Moor Grunter Gougers become battle line if the general is a Moor Grunter. I believe battle line means, of course, that you can reinforce them twice. So you could have a unit of 3 Moor Grunter Gougers. At which point you then pick one of the 3 battle traits, mount traits that you have. One being when this unit is targeted by an attack, if the weapon used for that attack has a rend characteristic of -1, change the rend characteristic for that attack to dash, which is pretty good. Add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by this unit's mount, if any wounds or mortal wounds were allocated to this unit in the same phase, which is okay, but situational. And proper wild at the end of the enemy charge phase before any monstrous rampages are carried out. If this unit is more than 3 inches from all enemy units but within 12 inches of any enemy units, you can roll a dice. On a 3+, this unit can attempt a charge. So I think there is definitely play in taking a Grunter Stampede, which, oh yeah, friendly Gore Grunters gain the battle line battlefield roll in a Grunter Stampede. So you can have a unit of 3 Moor Grunters, which each have the mount trait, and then have 1 with the Wrecking Crew and 1 boss. So Tusk Boss. So you make the Tusk Boss your general. That way you get the 3 Moor Grunters unit becomes your battle line option. And then you give them one of the... each one of them can get... each one of the units that you've got on the battlefield has a mount trait, which is great. Does that make sense? See, I think the Gouger can be pretty competitive in terms of if you give the Gouger the proper Ard, it is the Army of Renown, yeah. So yeah, I think the play there is there to do that. You give them the proper Ard so that they change -1 to dash, which is just really strong in AOS. Because then only your opponent's big things or stabby things, super stabby things are actually capable of doing any damage to them, really. Because the -1 to dash would just drops the efficiency of so many things in AOS, which is really strong. But you use your more grunter gouges as like this just anvil that just becomes this really horrible thing to try and remove. It also has the momentum thing, which is really good. The stream looks fine to me, Plops. Oh, hey, would you look at that? 47,594. Have you played much 40k since the 19th? Oh, 10th. I was going to say, the 19th was yesterday, Chewy. No, I've played none since yesterday. No, I haven't. I've played one game. One game of 10th. And I liked it fine enough. I thought it ran pretty smoothly. I think there's some really cool changes to it. I'm not particularly, and this isn't a slight on 40k, but I'm not particularly into the idea of going to play in a tournament at the moment. I'm into the idea of going to a tournament to just kind of be there and hang out with like-minded hobby people, but I'm not really into the idea of going to play at the moment. But I think it could. I think it'll be. I think it's a good game. I think it is a good game. I just think there's some things obviously that need changing. I'm just not really into the idea of going and getting flattened at the moment, which is all I hear is that the game is just about flattening one another. In principle, the game absolutely works much better than it did in 9th, because it's simpler in many ways. Especially for that kind of more established player. Kind of using the vocabulary that we all use when we're playing. So, for example, I've got to feel no pain, even though the rule's not called feel no pain. I hope the leg is doing better. Yeah, it's much better now, Graham. I'm pretty good. I'm going to start walking again properly now. I feel much better. Still no gifted sub. Have you got them turned on, Graham? Are you accepting gifts? Make sure that you are. I've got a local event coming up with the recent points increases to T-Suns. I'm considering bringing some burning chariots as my anti-heavy. Burning chariots, eh? That's the demons, right? Oh no, Bayern scored again. But did Harry Kane score? Let's have a look. What do burning chariots do these days? I guess in some ways you kind of got hit twice, didn't you? Because, well, I mean, not really, because you didn't have, like, kind of many weapons that were doing bundles of mortal wounds, right? Strength 9, AP -3, damage 3. Yeah, it's alright. It's not bad. It's 3 shots. And you're not better off taking more Hellfire missile racks? Kane scored a penalty. Well done, Harry Kane. Betraying your country. As long as he doesn't bang a hat-trick past Manchester United, I'm happy. A Maw Crusher. I do have Gordrak. I need to get him done. Any inspiration of what I could do for like 6 different Griffhound schemes? Yeah. So, I would recommend. You could almost do them like horses. So you could check out either the what am I trying to say here? Check out either the battle host, the Rohan battle host video, or the Cavaliers video, because there's 5 different horse recipes in there, and you can easily apply them to Griffhounds, and then you could add your own markings as and when you want. Are you a Man United fan, Josh? I am, for my sins. United have scored. Oh my goodness me. How much is left? They can't still be in regulation. There's 1 minute left. Right. Not sure if the moment has passed, but you're still planning to do the last 3 mutants from the Ashes of Faith. It just so happens, Gabriel. They're here. One's on the floor now. They're here. They are on my... They are directly in front of me to do list. They are one of those models where it is a quite difficult video to film that one, because like the mutants, I thought the mutants would be mutants. Colonel, we can't say that Man United fans are suffering. We had all that time in the 90s and the noughties. We had the Fergie years. I mean, it's hard right now to be a Man United fan because you're watching the film, watching the team just be as they are. But like, you know, everyone hated us and still does. What's the next vid? More Iron Jaws. Yeah, Cameron. So the next vid is tomorrow. It will be Zogrok, Anvil Smasher, and Clonk. These two. Modelled beautifully by myself. And then we have the Big Boss. We have the Ard Boys. I've got more Tyranids to do. I've got more Cities of Sigmar to do. And I've got other stuff to do. 4-2 now. Oh, well, there you go. PSV have been absolutely awful, but I am a biased Tottenham supporter. Change to be a Wrexham fan. Just take them on as your League 2 team. You're allowed to have teams throughout the football structure. Like, I'm also a big fan of Plymouth Argyle. Because my grandfather was. Hoyland scored, though. I mean, great. Good for him. Other stuff being Space Marines with jump packs. Maybe. Maybe not. Stuff that I can't talk about. Do you know what? I'll tell you a little Plymouth. So my grandfather used to love. He loved Plymouth, and he took us, me and my 2 brothers, took us to see a match. And I'll always remember that day because it was great. Plymouth won 3-0. I wasn't that old. Must have been 14, something like that. 14, something like that. 13, 14. Anyway, he was just so happy that we were there enjoying it with him. Anyway, afterwards he said, if anyone can guess the attendance, I'll give them, there's a prize of, I think it was like 30 quid, something like that. It's a huge amount of money to me then. So we were all guessing on the way home. And I thought I'd heard that they'd announced it. And he definitely had. He definitely heard the number because he knew exactly what the attendance was. And we get home and goes, right, what are your final guesses? And I can't remember what I guessed, but I think I was within about 100, 150. My brothers were way off. He was just so happy. I won 30 quid from my grandfather, but then he just talked to me for ages about them afterwards. Just kind of that real passion that people have for their football teams. It was just really lovely. It's a really lovely day. Because I didn't. My mum and dad don't really like football, so it was never really a big thing. So if we any interest that we had in football was generated by us as kids. Because my dad wasn't like, we're going to go down and see Cheltenham or whatever. He didn't have a football team. Really didn't really care about it. And my grandfather really liked his sports. And he always encouraged us to really enjoy sports as well. That's just something I have in common with him. Like he used to take me to see Somerset cricket as well. He loved that. He loved that we shared that. It was great. Lots of fond memories of going to the cricket or going to the football with my grandfather. A long time ago. Uh, 4-3. Goodness me. I'm missing an absolute cracker. Crystal Palace Football Club, Lewis? Right on. I'm with you. I lived near. They should have been, when I lived in London. Crystal Palace should have been my team because that was the closest ground. There was that or Wimbledon. My brother now also lives like 2 minutes from Wimbledon, so he's now a die-hard Wimbledon fan. Which headset are you using, and do you like it? I am using. So firstly, I'm talking to you through this Rode NT Mini USB. That's my microphone. I don't have a microphone on here. And on here, I have a set of AKG K240 Studio headphones. They're very good headphones. I do have a pair of Sennheiser's HD 250s as well, but they no longer make them. So I don't want to use them because I don't want them to break. Well, so I had a similar thing, Colonel. With it's a private memory for me, but I remember just I was having a really, really, really bad week. It was like I must have been 16, like height of puberty, right? Just with all those hormones rushing around and really, really struggling. And I had falling outs with friends and, just things that you go through as a teenager. And I remember just being awake. I couldn't sleep at all. And it was like, for me, that back then it was super late. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm just like 1 o'clock, haha. But back then I was super, super, just couldn't sleep. I had this little television in my bedroom, and I just turned it on, and I thought, something will be on. Maybe something can background noise just help me sleep. And it was Green Bay playing. I I think it was the Vikings. So classic matchup. I think it must have been Brett Favre. When did he leave? When did he leave the Packers? ...2007. Yeah. Anyway, I was watching the game. It was on Channel 5. So it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was just absolutely captivated by the sport and just the way it was covered and the way that they talked about it and the heroics that were going on and all those kinds of things. And it was just like seeing that much passion out on the field. It made me feel like at that time everything could be all right. Do you know what I mean? Like these people cared so much about what they were doing. I had no idea what was going on. Started to figure it out, of course. I was like, all right, so they seem to have to get it that 10 yards or whatever, and they can either run it or throw it. I don't know why they don't just, this, that, and the other. It wasn't until much later, when I was at uni, that I then, with my newfound friends at university, we were watching. They were like, let's stay up and watch the Super Bowl. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's do that. Not really knowing anything about it. We just had the best time. And that was, again, so so I'd watched this Green Bay game. And then the next game I watched a few years later was Green Bay's Super Bowl victory. And I was just like, Joe, I think I'm a Green Bay fan. And I was like, yeah, of course you are. And I was like, well, it is what it is. Back the winning team. But it was captivating. But yeah, just seeing how much like the passion that's on display from people who play in the NFL is intoxicating to watch. It's like it's almost that one step further than sort of any other sport that you see on. I think because when they're out there, they seem to lose that. They lose that professionalism that most athletes have when you speak to them, and that it's really raw. It's really fun to watch. Something the England rugby squad seems to be lacking. Well, there you go. It's been tumultuous, hasn't it, for the England rugby squad? How do you thin down metallics? Yeah, just a spot of water. Sometimes I use Water Plus from Instar Paints. It's just really quick and easy. It's just one little drop of it on a brush load on a palette. Just thins down the paint really quickly, really easily. When I do visit the UK, I would love to attend a Man United and a Wrexham game. You'll see a lot more passion at a Wrexham game. And I don't mean that as a slight on a Man United fans, but because Man United fans, it is rocking, but at Wrexham, it is crazy because it's so much further down. Cameron, you got to get it to 300, and you did it. There it is, smashing that 300 mark. Thank you, Cameron. Goal achieved! Oddly enough, the first Super Bowl I remember watching was also Green Bay. I lived near Boston for a year in the late 90s, and Green Bay trounced the Pats in the Super Bowl that year. Nice. I backed the winning team in 1985 when I was 5 years old, and the red team beat my dad's blue team and won a trophy, FA Cup, and the goal scorer was from Northern Ireland, Whiteside. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, right? It's just you always do it that way. It's always that way, isn't it? Like you just, I feel like that's how it starts for most people in terms of that fandom of a sports team, is that you will watch it the first time, and either your mum or dad or brother really likes the team and wants you to support them as well, so you do as well. Or you watch it for the first time and you either like the colour or you support the one that wins. And then from that on, you're like, yeah, I'm a them fan. My gift for being late to the stream was at fencing. Oh, that's sick. You were practicing martial arts. It's all good, Cameron. Don't you worry about it. And by the way, bombardment. Joe, where are you? Am I being summoned to Call of Duty again? Must I heed the call of duty? Channel 5's coverage of American sports in the early 2000s was so good. Yeah, it was. It was great. It was fantastic. They really crushed it. And then I feel like Sky Sky. So I've done some work. I did some work with Neil at Sky, and I feel like Sky sometimes doesn't quite hit the right mark. It depends on who they've got on as contributors, and they get better contributors now than they used to. They used to get really dry people who are like, "Yeah, I've played in the Canadian League for 20 years." It's like, "Yep, cool." Don't see why. I don't see why I should listen to you. It's like sometimes when you look at like NBC sports coverage of the Premier League, and they're like, and we're here with Darren, who played for League Two side Accrington Stanley, and you're like, and this person has what to contribute about the game that's being played in a league he never touched. It was just, yeah, it was quite funny. I would have not brought like 4 armies at once, one at a time. I think I was addicted to the dopamine rush from shopping like an addiction. Mr. Jabu, we all do it. I still to this day, I get it in my head that I'm going to do this thing, and then I buy like 6 or 7 kits, and then I never get to it. So that's why I was doing it. I was doing an inventory of everything that I have, and I got as far as doing everything that's in that cupboard back there, and I've got everything was in half the boxes that are under there. I haven't done the back cupboard yet. There's still so much to go through. Bo Raymond with the heart and the 20. Thank you very much. I return the heart to you. I was about to blow you a kiss, but that might be too forward. Just to say, your videos have made me love contrast painting and complete my first ever AOS army. Thank you. Lewis, you are very welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the videos, and I'm glad I could help. Do you know what was one of my favorite memories was learning how to throw in American football. Just that first time when you get that wicked tight spiral, it's so good because you hand it to someone, and you know, in this country most people will chuck it underarm like a rugby ball, and you go no over their head like that. So they do it, and they just throw it like almost like a basketball or a netball like that, and it doesn't work. But then you just go no, so fingers on the laces here, and then roll it off the hand, and yeah, so push from your back throw and throw through the body. And I was just like, the first time that I managed to just throw it, and I was like, oh wow, it just flies. Oh, it's such a good feeling. Such a good feeling. I compare it to first time I threw a wicked tight spiral. First goal I scored in football. First wicket taken when bowling. First century hit. I don't think I ever hit a century. No, I did. I hit a century. I hit a couple of 50s. Mostly in cricket, my job as I've spoken to with Rich a couple of times. I would take it upon myself to go in and stay in all day. Just because it was funny. Just go in and defense. Non-aggressive, just defense. I will only go for only go for a hit if I know I can get it. Is there a random model you own and want to paint but haven't yet? Oh, that is a great question. Random model that I don't own. Oh, a random model that you do own and want to paint but haven't yet. Random model I do own. I keep looking at my Storm Surge and I keep thinking, can I take a day or two to paint that? That's what I would quite like to do. Eisenhorn, hint. Yep, no, he's here. He's on the desk of potential. He's literally in the queue. He's literally in a queue right there. Don't own yet. Model I'd love to paint that I don't own yet. Nagash, probably. He's one I'd quite like to do. And I don't own him. Hello, Conic. I've been so excited for the Hog Rider since it was announced. I'm just waiting for my copy to come in. I also used your Harbinger of Death video and entered a painting competition. Didn't win, but placed top 10 out of 200. Oh, that's excellent. Stormstrike. Stormstrike? Oh, the Stormstrike Chariot. I do have one of those, actually. I need to build it. If you were to paint Ironjaw / Oryx in general, but wasn't allowed to use green for their skin, what colour would you use instead and why? Red. Because World of Warcraft. What model is that just down there? Nearly 2 years. Hopefully I can celebrate the second year with a Cantor vid. Jack. Hang on. You mean Chapter Master Pedro Cantor? He's here. Curtis, what can I say? I'm a basic nerd. Of course I have an affinity for World of Warcraft. I accept kisses, bro. I'll blow one to you later. Let's look at this boy, shall we? He's so tiny. Oh, it's almost. He's so little. if you put him base to base size with Corsair Khan, he comes up to Corsair Khan's midriff. Have you ever sold models/armies? Recently sold a Necron army, and the buyer said the army is for underprivileged children to come and play with weekly, which made it less painful. Oh, that's great, Scarlet Pimpernel. I've sold a couple of miniatures, and I've sold a couple of armies, yeah. Usually when I've sold armies, it's been because somebody specifically needed something, and I actually had it. So I sold an Imperial Guard army to Tabletop Tactics, actually, a little while ago. So that was quite cool. My issue has always been, so like I cleaned out a bunch of stuff a while ago. So I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I was like, I'm getting rid of all of this. I'll sell it all for like. I used to do things at like 50% of RRP. So if a box of models cost £35, it would be £17.50, right? So I was like, all of this for half what it would cost if you bought it new, because I built it but I haven't painted it, right? And the issue I've always ran into is when you do that is people go, I only want this thing. And I'm like, and back then I was like, oh, that's fine. So I sold people the specific things that they wanted, and then I was just left with a pile of stuff that nobody wanted, and I've still got some of it. So I'm like, like I said, I've got my Anvils of the Heldenhammer army, which is about 4,500 points of Stormcast, and every time I ever go, hey, who wants to buy this? People go, I'll take the Vanguard Raptors. It's like, no, you have to buy the rest of it as well. I don't want the rest of it. I just want the Vanguard Raptors. It's like, soz. And I don't really want to sit with it on eBay for months at a time, but it's probably just unavoidable at this point, isn't it? You think of going Draenor style for the Orc skin? Yeah. It's a cool look. I do love Thrall though, the green skin. I do love it. I wish they'd do a new WoW expansion that was a style of old WoW, like really long leveling and epic dungeons like Blackrock Depths. Those were the days, weren't they? Questing through Blackrock. For me, Pinnacle of WoW. I'd be interested. Anybody out, all of you World of Warcraft fans out there, Pinnacle of WoW, Wrath of the Lich King. Wrath of the Lich King for me. 0 to 80, well 1 to 80, going up to Northrend, taking on the Ice Crown. I'm going to ask this question now. Horde or Alliance? There is a right answer. See, I think WoW Classic was great, but it has its limitations, right? So, like, for example, being able to make enough money in WoW Classic was really hard, especially when it came to learning how to ride your mount, because that used to cost a punishing amount of gold. So that was too difficult, I think, for people who are slightly more casual at the game. Whereas at the point of Wrath, riding was cheap. It was flying that was more expensive. That was fine because you were able to make gold a lot easier just by questing if you didn't want to, say, sit and craft leather goods. So yeah, I think, like, for me, Wrath at that point, it wasn't so long that getting to 80 was hard. It was 80, or was it 75? Anyway, it wasn't so long that it was hard to get to max level, but they'd also made a few of those quality of life changes that made the game easier to play. I did like Cataclysm because I liked the looking for raid, looking for dungeon thing that they put in. It meant that I was able to get into the content that I was quite often didn't have the time, because I was a teenager, didn't have the time to commit to being able to be a part of. So things like I did Karazhan a couple of times, but not much more than that, during the sort of classic / Burning Crusade era. But then once Cataclysm came along, you were able to do those things a lot easier. So things like fight Deathwing. Did you not like Look for Raid? This is an interesting conversation. How Warhipster became a WoW channel. It's been so long since I engaged in it. I liked Legion. I haven't played it since Battle for Azeroth. Bit off topic, but do you have any thoughts on one-page rules? I don't have any thoughts on one-page rules. I think what they what I think what okay, I do have some thoughts on one-page rules. I think one-page rules are a perfectly fine thing to do when you're making a rule set for things. Where I have a slight problem with them is when they've started making miniatures that are just not even trying to not be the 40k ones. So I think it was their sisters range. It was just like these are so sisters. It's not even funny. But you know, I think one-page rules making rules that you could play with any miniatures is cool. I think a company doing that is pretty cool, because that doesn't infringe on anything, right? It's just making a game to play with some toys that you can play that you have any of, which is quite cool. I think that's a cool thing. Like my thing with like 3D printing miniatures is people should and people do, and it's cool when they do, is print miniatures to fulfill a specific vision that they have of something that they want within their army. Where I don't agree with 3D printing miniatures is printing stuff that is just a knockoff version of the official thing. So I will explain. In that, if you, for example, picture a Space Marine army that has got heavy feudal Japanese elements within it, so like Sashimono banners and things like that, then I say have at it. That sounds awesome. That sounds great. But when you get a 3D printed White Scars army that is just a White Scars army and there's nothing about it, it's like this is theft. So like, it's just like I don't agree with that. But otherwise, for me, the peak was likely Pandaria. Most of the quality of life of today was there, and the game was engaging without all the modern systems. I didn't. So I played Cataclysm. This Cataclysm was after or before Mists? It was before. I stopped just before Mists of Pandaria, and then didn't get into it again until the tail end of Legion. Yeah, Dan, that's the thing, right? So many third parties which aren't trying at all to be original. Yeah, I completely agree. So I think there's like right now, if somebody's out there 3D printing like Battlefleet Gothic miniatures, because Battlefleet Gothic doesn't exist, and they're printing it for a version of Battlefleet Gothic which is not made by Games Workshop, because Games Workshop doesn't make Battlefleet Gothic, then that's great. But then conversely, it has to have its own slight spin on it, I think, for it to be not the thing. But from that, you can actually create greater quality that is inspired by. Same for something like Epic, like Warhammer Fantasy Battles that wasn't supported for ages. But that'll be an interesting thing, right? Is that like there are these Warhammer Fantasy Battles armies that have been supported by something like Ninth Age, for example. That have been, that has been great because it's kept that game alive and it's kept that interest and it's helped that community still enjoy the tabletop game the way they want to. But when the new one comes out, when Old World comes out, and then there's the new Bretonians, and then somebody knocks up a 3D printed scan of the new Bretonians and is like, these are French knights. It's like, oh, come on now. My friend printed sonic weapons for me for my Emperor's Children army as I refused to use the Finecast Noise Marine upgrade kits. Well, yeah, and exactly. So that's filling a need for you for your specific army, right? Because there is stuff that Games Workshop doesn't make. So things like sculpted shoulder pads for the Minotaurs chapter. Games Workshop makes one Minotaur's shoulder pad in plastic, and it comes in the Deathwatch Kill Team Veterans box. But you can't buy 10 of those for every 10 intercessors that you want to build. So, being able to print your Minotaur's shoulder pads is absolutely fine. And I think it's great, and it's great that the 3D printers support people in the community in order to be able to do that. What they shouldn't do is print entire intercessors of the Minotaurs chapter. Michael Penny, finally have a battlesuit finished and I'm super stoked. Awesome. So yeah, I have a bit of a kind of like relationship with 3D printing. Because and also quite often somebody will say, and I don't mean anyone here, but someone will say, check out this 3D printed version of this. It's much better than the GW one. And you look at it and it's not. It's just not. It's like, no. And I've brought this up before, but 3D printing stuff makes sense if you're going to invest in doing it. But if you're investing in doing it, you're not saving any money. So cheaping out on a cheap printer to print cheap models, you are going to get a cheap experience. Resonance, I will agree with you on that, on the cyclic iron blasters. I don't think that the cyclic iron blasters should be allowed on tower battle suits, because they only come in the commander kit. So I don't know why they're on the battle suits. I don't know why they're still available on battle suits, because they're not in that box. They should have been struck off there, and the sole property of commanders. It's a hobby in its own right, I think. It 100% is. 100% is, Laura. And anyone who tells you otherwise is a liar. You know, I talked about that very briefly in my speed paint video, where I said, you know, people will always justify their position by saying, if you just do this. So, like, for example, if you just buy a 3D printer, then you can just print armies for pence. And it's like, yeah, but I have to buy and learn how to use a fucking 3D printer. So I've not saved any money, and I might not like it. And it might not be easy. And there's all the pitfalls of learning a new hobby as well. And then they say, well, that's what the internet's for. You just watch somebody else do it. And it's like, yeah. And then they'll sell me the more expensive printer, because they'll be like, this is the one you want, guys. This is the one that I was sponsored to sell. This one's really great. And it's like, cool, 10% off. I've spent £450 on this army. At this point, in order to print it. See, I think that's the I think where it really shines at the moment, and this is one of the reasons I would get a 3D printer, is to print terrain, because there's loads of really cool stuff being made in STLs where I wouldn't learn how to do it myself. I would just have to download those STLs and then print them. Yeah, well, see, that's the point. That's the thing that they don't tell you. Like, if we're going to get right into it with 3D printing, right? It's not just the cost of the printer. Firstly, you need to know how you're going to set it, right? And either that means you get a UV torch, or you're going to get a UV bath or something like that. There's something where you have to set the thing, right? So it's either a bath or a UV bay or something. So that's an additional expense. You've also got, admittedly, the matter with which you use to print it, the resin or what, that's really cheap, right? But that's the bit they'll tell you. Like, I printed this army for 15 pence, and it's like, yeah, because you used the really cheap thing. But what you don't use is the resolution of printer, the way you're going to cure it, all that kind of thing. But the hidden cost of it as well is when stuff prints for hours at a time, your electricity bill. So that's also going to go up, because you're using a lot more wattage, right? And if you want to get something done fast, you're going to have multiple printers. You also have to have a really good space in order to do it, because it has to be well ventilated if you're going to use a lot of printing, and it's going to go on the whole time. Sometimes they take hours and hours and hours to do, depending on the size of kit. So yeah, it's like, it's just it's not cheaper to start a new hobby. It's like complaining about the bus and somebody saying, well, you know, it's cheaper to learn how to be a pilot, because then you can just fly the plane. It's like, but the bus is already there. Off topic, but do you ever use an airbrush? I'm considering getting one just for priming, no matter the weather. So, no, I don't, but I am considering doing the same thing, Cameron. I have an airbrush, and there is a live stream on here where you can see me learn how to use it terribly. What I might do is use it to prime stuff in the winter. I haven't decided yet. I need to figure out a place that I can do that. Maybe out in the shed. There. I will. I'm waiting for the day. Because again, like the follow-up thing I have with 3D printing is if you can print me a sprue where I can build my model, prime it and paint it the same day, that's when we're starting to get somewhere. But like most of the time these days, what I would be really interested in doing is finding somebody who's big into 3D printing and being like, right, you print your army, you print your unit, I'll buy mine, ship it to me, build it and paint it, and we'll see who can get theirs done first. Do you know what I mean? Including shipping time. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about airbrushing, right? Is I would love to get into it, but it's one of those things where I don't really want to replace anything in my videos with airbrushing. Priming, I guess, is one which you can kind of, because I don't actually put that in the video. I tell you what primer I used, but I spray paint it, and I don't need to film that every time. But I don't want to be like. I've said this many times. I never want to have a video where someone opens it and goes, "Oh, I can't do this because I don't own that." Do you know what I mean? It might be that they're missing a paint color, but a paint color is much easier to get hold of in terms of if you open up my Iron Jaws video and you've watched a bunch of my videos and you've followed me for a while, and the only color you don't have from it is Iron Jaws yellow, it's not a hassle for you to order Iron Jaws yellow whilst you're waiting for your Iron Jaws to turn up. It is a hassle if I say we're just going to whack out the airbrush and prime it and use the Iron Jaws yellow through that. See what I mean? So that's one of the things I won't put it into the videos. But it might be that I do eventually get around to one day doing airbrush versions of certain models or certain things. It's just, one, I have to learn it so that I feel comfortable enough teaching it. And two, it has to be very clearly denoted as this was done this way. I wouldn't put up a contrast plus how to paint and then it whacks out an airbrush at the first thing. You accept the mini creative. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of wisdom in it. I would need to colour match Wraithbone and Greyseer. And it would have to be an exact colour match as well. Because it can't be. This was Greyseer, but it's like 2 tones out. Exactly, Rugby Boy. Exactly. The amount that, and the reason I have that golden rule is because when I returned to miniature painting in 2016, all I wanted was a how to paint vehicles. One of the reasons why my original Ultramarines army, when I came back to the hobby in 2016, one of the reasons there are no vehicles in it is because I was looking for a video that would show me how to paint stuff with a brush, and not one single video used a brush. It was like, we've got the model primed, and we're going to get out the airbrush. And it's like, oh, I'm not buying an airbrush for this. Good evening, Mr. Adam. You are fashionably late. If they release Chaos Dwarves for AOS, do you think you'll collect them? They were one of my faves as a kid, so I probs will. Yeah, I mean, I probably will, right? I mean, Chaos Dwarves would be sick. Would thinner work with Gracie? I think it probably would, but you'd have to really thin it down. And it's just easier to buy a airbrush appropriate paint that's already thinned. Because there's a certain point where the time investment to get to the position that would happen if you just went outside with a rattle can becomes not worth the investment. You see what I mean? Welcome to the party, pal. It's the same reason why, like, I very rarely do like zenithal priming, because there comes a point in time where the benefits of zenithal are not worth the time investment it takes to do something zenithal primed. And zenithal priming only really works very well through airbrush priming. Spray cans, it's just like, psh, the thing is white now. At which point it's just like, so I've got slightly grayer shadows on the underside of the miniature where you're never going to look. And if you go too gentle with it, you barely get the contrast color on there. And at which point, what was the point? I got extremely moist today on the bike. Was not enjoyable. Moist. You want flow improver. See, there you go, Chewy. I didn't know that. So, the time investment for me is build it, take it outside, spray it. I don't want to build it, try and thin down the paint. It's not enough. Try and thin down the paint. It's not enough. Try and thin down the paint. It's not enough. Go on the internet. Somebody tells me I need a completely different thing to do it. Fine. Buy that. Order that. Gets here. The next day, day after. Flow improves that. Now it's enough. Do the air priming. And now we're good to go. It's like, I could have been done yesterday. Word of the day based on the weather. Moist. Damp. I always... Do I even have flow improver? Nope. I have airbrush thinner. And airbrush cleaner. And that is the fundamental problem with learning new skills. Is for some people, they already have the skill, so they wonder why you don't have the skill. And for others, it becomes a question of time investment. I thought the same thing, Cameron. Yeah, Scarbrand. I'm with you on that. I like using a brush. I really like using a brush. More silent hobbyists use brushes than airbrushes. And silent hobbyists are what watch the videos. They don't subscribe, they don't come on the live chat, they don't comment, but they watch the videos and they appreciate it, that it's somebody using things the way that they do. And we do Contrast Plus around here. We're the only ones that do Contrast Plus, because I don't think anybody else has adopted that as a thing. Although I haven't checked that yet. I'm going to look it up now. Contrast Plus. Oh, look, it's all me. And then Baldur's Gate for some reason. No. Yeah, looks like it's all me. That's my niche. Oh god, I hate whenever I search contrast paint because it just brings up all those videos up from when people just went, "This is garbage." Make your own contrast paints. Yeah, but they're not. I know, I know, I know, I know. I could learn it. I need the time to learn it, and I need the time to practice it. Because what I would hate to do is, like, for example, if Trug the Troggoth King came out and I was like, oh, I'm going to prime this with the airbrush, and then I absolutely screw it up. I'm like, great, well, there's not going to be a Trug video then, is there? I have to... I might rework the Tau recipe, Michael. See if I can get it closer in a simpler way. Because I was doing those before we had the new paints. And as I recall, I was doing yellow followed by flesh, and I think now we have Imperial Fist, that can go a lot simpler. Suggs is somehow queen and a monk. I didn't know that they were. If you're from an artistic background, it's easier than you think. So I come from music rather than art. I guess it's artistic, right, to do music. Would you change Cruel Boy's recipe now to just use gut ripper flesh? I see that's a great example. I think I probably would just use gut ripper flesh just to speed things up a little bit, because as I recall, I use Plague Bearer in there somewhere. Sorry if this was asked, but are you doing a Vindicarum city scheme? Yes, the Skull tribute. My plan is to do the last of the cities ones in a couple of weeks' time, in October, because I've got a gap where I can do them. As of right now, I have many things to do. Wiggle Wiggles Bottom. I remember a while ago you mentioned doing Soulblight Gravelords videos. Any update on that, Josh? Yes. So the only thing I've got now that I haven't done before is Blood Knights, and I haven't had time to do them. I will probably do another Death Rattle Skeletons video, because I did one for Cursed City a while ago, but I need to come up with a Josh-specific scheme for them. I want to change the colours slightly. So we've done the Sons of Velmorn, and we've done the ones that were in Cursed City, and I liked both of them, but I want to do my own thing in terms of the colour of the scheme and all that kind of thing. So it was 1-to-1 Militarum Green and Creed camo before for Cruel Boys. Yeah, so you can pretty much do you can pretty much just do Gut Ripper Flesh. Do you guys enjoy these streams where we just sit and talk? Because I really like doing them. Any new Tyranid Setu tutorials in the works? I know you have done the term again. At the moment, no, I don't have any plans. That can change, obviously. I need to finish Hormagaunts, Gene Stealers, the Lictor, and the Pyrovore. So that I can get them all done. Because I'd like to have the raft of new Tyranids releases done from Parasite Mortrex onwards. I would like to do. I'd like to get them done. So I need to finish them off. But as I mentioned earlier, the Iron Jaws were just. I was just like, I've got to do these. These are so cool. I'm really excited. I was really excited to do the Iron Jaws. I was really excited to do Trug as well. So I was like, I've just got to hit pause on doing the Tyranids because otherwise I won't get any of the Iron Jaws done. And then my sprue review video will be like, did you get anything done? No. But we just need to finish these two Iod boys, and then they are done. And so then I've got Hormagaunts, Gene Stealers, Lictor, Pyrovore. I've got Vindicarum, Excelsis, Hammerhall Gyra, Tempest's Eye, Settler's Gain, Hallowheart. I've got them to do as well. Some chill Warhipster-esque music may be nice to fill the gap between questions. Can you not hear the music that I'm listening to? I'll turn it up a little bit. Did you pick up the Cursed City box? I did a long time ago. And on this channel, this very channel, there is a video for every single thing that is in that box. Have I got a bald spot up here? Can I ask, how many submissions can we put in for Tale of Many Warhipsters 2? You can put in as many as you like. If you're going to put loads in, don't be sad if I don't use every single picture. Loving your Steel Helms tutorials, Laurent. Thank you. Yeah, there are more to go. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 of them here. The only problem with these 6 is that one of them is a flag, and another one is the Battle Priest. So that's not great because you really want to get the shields done. So I've got 4 more guys with shields because I just didn't think when I built them. I built them with 2 banners and this, that, and the other. So I'm getting some more steel helms so that I'll be able to have all 6, which is why I say October is probably when I'm going to get the rest of them done. That way we can complete the set because you get to see all the shields right then. So I've been listening to it perfectly wonderfully. I didn't realise it was too quiet. Just turned it up a little bit. My first attempt at painting Dark Angels with contrast was a disaster, but after a couple of units I got the hang of it and now I love how it looks. Yeah, so that's the thing. Dark Angels green is a temperamental paint, which is lovely. It's got a great colour, and then it just like it gets away from you and it just goes all dark and horrible, and it's like ugh. So you just have to really kind of just practice with it until you get it. Would you paint Legion Imperialis stuff? Machino? Yeah, we talked about this earlier. I will do it if that's what people want, but I suspect what I will probably do for Legions Imperialis is I will wrap it into a whole big video. So, for example, if I have all the Space Marines, I'll do Space Marines, how to build a Space Marine force, how to paint them. Because how to paint Legions Imperialis Tactical Legionaries is paints used, Blood Angels red, Black Legion, and silver, and that's it. It's done. And it's like, you didn't need me to show you that. But how to build a Blood Angels army and all that kind of thing, rolling it into one, I think that's a really valuable video. I think that'd be really cool. Have you been invited by Peachy to do a video with the painting phase? I have not been invited by Peachy to do a video with the painting phase. If they would like me to go on there, they need only message me. And I shall appear like a Mortal Kombat character. I shall appear. Raw. For Oldway Eldar, would you highlight the black armor with grey or with a blue? Have a look. I always base it off what Games Workshop does. So let's have a look. Images. They do blue. So I would do it with the blue. Although, hang on. Yeah. Oh, yeah, probably would do it with a blue. Oh, but they've done it there with a... How have they done it in this video? Yeah. Yeah, they've done it with blue. Yeah. So that's probably how I would do it. I've been mentioned. Have they mentioned me, have they? Are they talking about me? Will you bring your guitar and play sharp songs and sing if you went on the show? I mean, if that's what they would want me to do, then I would do that. Just sit down there in the corner whilst they talk Warhammer. I'll just sit and pretend I'm Daniel Hagman for the day. Advice needed. Just finished reading Devastation of Baal and Dante. Now I'm loving BA, and I'm thinking of moving away from Space Wolves and making my custom chapter a BA successor, not Space Wolves. Have any thoughts / advice? I mean, Blood Angels, baby. Blood Angels all the way. Yeah, I mean, if you've got a custom chapter, right? If you've got a custom chapter, all you need do is just add the range-specific units to your custom chapter. So if you've got a Space Wolves chapter that's your custom chapter, all you just need to do is buy some Sanguinary Guard and use them, but paint them appropriate to your scheme. Have you dabbled with mixing contrast? So far I've used Gryph-hound Orange and Talasar Blue to make a bluish black for Black Templars. I have. I've done that quite a bit in my time. Things like combining Nazdreg Yellow and Green, like Creed Camo, I think, to make Death Guard armor. Is this channel your full-time job? If so, you deserve all the success, dude. It is my full-time job. Yes, Lewis. It is my full-time job. And this year has been great, because this year has been, so far, touch wood, this year, what I've done previously is every penny that I've made from the channel has been reinvested back in to pay for things to keep the channel going. This year has been the only year where it's broken even. So like, it's made money and then I've invested that back in. So like buying all the equipment I need, for example, paints, brushes, glues, tools, models, equipment, like, you know, things to make this stream setup look nice, right? So that's why I make this kind of, you know, buying the lights and this, that and the other thing. But this year has been the first year where like I've been able to not just eat my savings. So hopefully, Mr. Feudal, hey man, how you doing? Good evening to you. Oh, there you are. If I was to start my journey again, I'd be buying the brushes I have now at the very start and pay the attention to the build manual because my first pack was butchered hard. Oh man, we all made those. We all made those errors when we were younger. It's all gravy. By the way, guys, we're 3 likes away from the magic number. Any recommends of colours that work with red? Currently, my chapter symbol is gold with a black background, but want to paint the armour and pack using red and another colour. Thank you in advance. Any colour man recommend? Right. So one thing I would recommend you do, Wolflord Joe, is head over to. If I go in here, overhead, and then I add window capture, let's say this one, and we bring it down there. Bring it to there, shall we? Yeah. So, if I go to this screen, so one thing I would recommend you do, bud, is you look up the color wheel, right? And then find like a quite in-depth one. Let's go with this one, shall we? So basically what you want to do is a complementary color or a contrasting color on a color wheel is the thing that's directly opposite of it, right? So this red up here is complemented nicely by that blue. This orange, blue violets. This yellow, violets. This mauve, yellow greens. Mauve pinks, greens. Pinks, blue greens, you see? If you want like a tertiary, you want to split your color wheel. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So a tertiary complementary color would be 1, 2, 3, 4. This green here. So you see how in Blood Angels you have this green is often the eye lenses because it's the tertiary color in it, you see. Black and white go with everything. So they usually sit directly in the middle. So if we look at this one, for example, you see how it works? So black just goes with everything pretty much, and white goes with everything. But say you want to go around. So this is 23 colors different on here. So you would split that into 3. But I hope that helps. What are your brushes of choice? My brushes of choice are Citadel brushes because I can get a hold of them really easily. And they last for as long as I need them to, given as I paint all day, every single day. What have you done in the Discord? Oh, everyone go there. That's a really good way to figure out schemes in general. if ever you need something that's just going to work, then that's how you do it. You just find that color on the color wheel and just pick the one that's directly opposite of it, and it will work every time. 2 calories per lick. That's a lot of calories to have from paint. It probably barely registers on the calorific scale. Do you get a bad back and neck? No, I don't. Because I lean back quite a lot. I mean, I probably do. I probably have a terrible spine. Probably. I bet if I was to go and see a chiropractor, they would say, your spine, he be messed up. Or he be effed. I believe they would say. Usually I'm not in any pain, unless it's my legs. But they're mostly better now, so, you know, that's all good. But that wasn't from painting, that was from trying to get out of bed. I ended up getting the commemorative mini from Warhammer Plus, and it was Azrak. I managed to actually edge highlight for once. I had a pure ear-to-ear grin on my face. Now that's awesome, Mr. Feudal. I haven't done my Azrak. I wanted to look at the... what was the commemorative... they previewed it, didn't they? The one that's coming. It was a vampire, wasn't it? Or a sergeant. Ooh. Karlina von Karstein, that's it. Oh, I really want that. Give it to me. Give it to me now. The Kassakin sergeant is nice, but it's no Karstein. What kind of palette do you prefer? I have a plain paper palette. That's how I roll. What I might do, I was thinking about this the other day, is I might just find some like tempered glass that I can get my hands on and just use that, because then I can just wash it or just, you know, scrape off the paint. And then what I was also thinking about was trying to go, because I always think this, right? I'm like, hey, what if we got some laser etched tempered glass washable palette things that people can use to use as palettes. And then I was like, if I do that, how do I sell them? Obviously I can't. Plops of corn dropping and $9.99. Everyone who is on the Discord, go to general chat and do what I just did. Plops of corn. That's very kind of you. Like I said, if they get in touch, I will happily do it. I mean, I'd have to travel. I do demand that my expenses get paid for. I'm a real draw. I'm the real deal. Yeah, see, I was also thinking of getting some tiles, but again, I'd like to brand some and sell them, which is really, it's really capitalist of me. Because, you know, I looked into getting a painting map made up. I just couldn't figure out the right keywords to search on how to do that, because like you want a silicone mat that I can custom print my logo on and put that on. It's the same for dice as well, because I'd love to make some Warhipster dice and sell them off, but I have to find someone who can make the dice and then sell them through that, and I can't. I'd have to set up a Shopify or just be like anything like that. Anyway, background stuff that I don't have time for. But I like the idea of creating like a super affordable, reusable painter's toolkit. So be something like ceramic tile, a really good mat of some description. I'd also really like to get my own brushes. I'd love it so much. Like, I was talking about this with my older brother the other day, and I said, "Do you remember?" And you guys will probably remember this as well. Do you remember Tony Hawk's Underground and things like that, and like the skate games, if you played them, where like you had to go out and get a shoe sponsor, and then you get a deck sponsor, and so on and so forth, like that, and then they make you a custom deck, and then you have it in the game. I think I will have truly made it if a brush company says, let's do Warhipster brushes, and I'll just be like, yes, let's do it. Because that would be sick. But like what I would like for a mat is something that you can, one comes in a range of sizes, but also just has like one drainage gullies, so that if you spill, it goes into the edges. So the Citadel mat does that. So it's got this little edge around the outside. So if you spill, it can run into those edges, so it won't just immediately just flop over. So I'd like that, but I'd like them to be a bit deeper. I'd also like it so that there's an area to put your brushes, and then I would also like on the same mat to be able to have these pop-out ceramic cups that you can mix your paint in. So you can pop them out, wash them, put them back in, but they're part of the mat, right? So it's almost like a battle station, as it were. But you mix your paint in there, in the little ceramic cups that you can then just pop them out and go and wash them. But they're secure on the table, as it were. And then of course a little ring on it that you can jam your paint pot into, both either this sort of size or this sort of size, for example. So you can just, it's a little bit more secure. Anyway, I think about product development all the time, and I'm like, there's some really sick stuff that we could do, but what I need is a business manager who can interact with businesses on my behalf, and then I can just approve things like I live on a yacht. And then we do Warhipster yachts. Just noticed I missed a bit of yellow, so I can just quickly do that whilst we're here, because I've already filmed it. And it would be embarrassing if I didn't do it. But that is the rub of it, is something like a brush. I would want to sit with the person who makes the brushes, and I'd be like, right, first and foremost, these can only cost, like £3 a brush. I need these to be affordable. They can't be premium. They have to hold well. They have to have a good, decent length on the bristles. They have to have a really good ferrule. The belly has to be right, so that it's carrying contrast, but not too much. It's not creating any drops. Would Adam be your lawyer? For legal reasons, no, Adam would not be my lawyer. For joke reasons, he's already my legal representative. Hipster paints. Oh. See, this is the thing. I would do my own paints, but they'd have to be contrast paints. And that would take ages to develop. And they would have, like, it's one of those things. Because we've all seen what happens when you rush a product out to market. We've all seen what happens when you panic and try to keep up with the other business, and then you release something that's not quite ready, so then you have to do another year's worth of development. But then you have to do that publicly because you've already launched the products. I'm of course talking about Battlefield 2042. What? Cameron? Nah. Who mentioned that? Clearly I was referring to Battlefield 2042 and nothing else. We have fun, don't we, chat? I'm glad you enjoy these types of just chatty streams, because I really enjoy them. I think they're good fun. It's nice just to be able to interact with you. And I feel like I haven't done it because I missed a stream because it was too hot. And then we did Tale of Many Warhipsters, which was fab. But it's long, and you know, we're sort of chatting, but sort of not. You know, we're trying to, you know, celebrate you and your accomplishments in the field. Why would Spiky Bits get upset, Lewis? I'm talking about Battlefield 2042 and possibly Diablo 4 as well. And potentially the next Call of Duty. Anyway, doesn't matter. But yeah, no, I feel like we haven't had a chance to talk. Because obviously we missed that one, and then we did Tale. I'm surprised that Joe has not joined to stream to pull you into DMZ. He went on holiday, and I got really cross at DMZ, and I've been really busy, so I haven't played it very much at all. I played it with them today, and I played it with them last week, and I think I played it with Joe and the boys the other night. I can't remember. I've just been so busy that I haven't had the chance to do it. Do you know Juan Hidalgo? I know him. I don't know him very well. We've spoken very briefly. I think if he and I were to collaborate, the world of Contrast might explode. Which is why we've made the decision separately, privately, without talking to each other to not. Can you reveal what the winner of last month's Tails model purchase was? As in, what did they want? The winner wants a jump pack captain. So whenever that comes out, I will send him a jump pack captain. The previous winner wanted a voucher for some stuff for Stormcast. Why does he hate blue so much? I don't know. I don't know why he hates blue. I think it's a joke that's got out of control. To be fair, I'm not much better for green. I don't hate green, but like green, I struggle with it. It's the colour I struggle with seeing the best. It takes me a little while. Is Liam going to be panic setting up the studio for a bit? Probably. I'm going to let him go through all that pain, and then eventually when I get to the point where I can afford to do the same thing, I will ask him for all of his advice in the world. So that I don't have to go through the same plan. Juan Hidalgo is the best contrast painter on the planet. but we do very different things. So what he does, he is the best at. So that heavy contrast type thing. He makes absolutely unbelievable creations with his heavy contrast series. Hands down, it's the best stuff on the planet. What I do is box art contrast plus blending the two. So we kind of have a similar approach, right? But he takes his that one step further. So you wouldn't necessarily want to paint an entire army the way Juan does, but you wouldn't necessarily want to paint a centerpiece Space Marine the way I do, if you see what I mean. That's kind of how I view it. But yeah, we do quite different things. But I think he pushes it. He pushes his models to that above stage, whereas I do mine to like the Games Workshop standard, I would guess. Which makes mine kind of. I also do a lot. I do a lot more, so his videos take longer to make because his models take longer to paint, and they're really great, and I love his stuff, and I do always look forward to a new heavy contrast video because he often comes up with something that like I just hadn't thought of, and there's some stuff that he does that I wouldn't do, but you know. Random question, is there any army in AOS or 40k that you've painted some videos for but genuinely didn't enjoy at all? I think there's benefits, and there's also... There's things I like and there's things I dislike about everything. So, like, I think it's already been mentioned, but, like, doing the World Eaters, painting the trim, awful. Thousand Suns, doing the trim, awful. Painting Chaos, painting anything Chaos, apart from the Slaves to Darkness, because they got less of it. But any Chaos Space Marines, painting the trim, awful. Hate it, don't ever want to do it. But painting the rest of the Chaos stuff is really fun. So, like, all of the Cultists, they're a good lark. Painting the colours of the Thousand Suns, that's great. I really enjoy how they look. Same for the World Eaters as well. Getting that red just spot on, just really enjoyed it, and I think that was really good. Similarly for like things like the Leagues of Votann, didn't enjoy doing the vehicles particularly much, but really enjoyed doing the infantry because they're quite cool. Tyranids are an interesting one in that I liked coming up with color combinations, and I love how simple they are. What I dislike about Tyranids is just the faction in general. Painting them is fine, because it's pretty easy to do once you get into the swing of things and once you've figured out how the scheme works. They may be a little one-dimensional, but, you know. Wraithbone, Greyseer or White Scar? Lewis, Greyseer is my favourite because it's got that darkness that I quite like in a lot of faction paint jobs. It adds that sort of slightly more grim, dark feel to things. Wraithbone's very warm and very organic, and it's a lovely colour. White Scar sits between the two, but brighter than both. Which Greyseer, you do come out with quite a dark, a grimmer look, which is what I really like. What's the Citadel Artificer thing in the background? This. So this is the Citadel tint set. So what you got in here, right, is you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different tints. So what you can do with this is you can add it to paint pots. So you see it here, right? So you add the blue into the yellow, you get green, and you can create your own paints with it, basically. What this is really good for, and if you can get your hands on it, I would try it. It's very difficult to find, though. What's really great for this is if you put, for example, Vulcan or Conrad Kurz or Horus or Magnus the Red or something like that, if you put that into silver, you get a metallic coloured version of that. It's a really cool little set, and I found it in the Hereford Model Centre, so I bought it on the spot. But what they are is they're basically just pure, it's just pure pigment in there, right? Yeah, it's pure pigment in there. So, and you mix it with your paint pot, and then you're good to go. You've got a brand new colour permanently. But yeah, so I found it in the Hereford Model Centre. Really, really cool way of getting different colours out of your paint set. It's unopened because one day I shall use it. Really cool. One of the coolest things I own. I think they had more as well. So if you want to check it out, go to the Hereford Model Centre. They have a website. Excuse me. Do you rate the slap chop technique? Yes, in principle. I do. I think slap chop has its place, and I think it can be used to great effect. I think it's worth it if you're doing lots of things quickly. I don't think it's worth it if you're doing some things slowly. It's adding more steps. Reminds me, I still need to find some more Waywatcher green glaze. If you remind me, next time we're going to see each other, Rich, I have Waywatcher green glaze. I'll bring it for you. To be fair though, Warp Lightning, thin down. It's pretty much Waywatcher green. What to buy for Tau? Farsight or a Crisis Commander? Well, do you have a Farsight Enclave's army, or do you just have a normal Boggo Tau Empire army? Which video, Captain Manrings? Is that Aventus Firestrike in your cabinet? I must have missed that video. It is. So I did Aventus at the beginning of this year. Here he is. I was very pleased with him. I think he came out lovely. Oh, the slap chop. He is. You know, when I was talking about moving to a new studio that's fit for purpose, what I really want is I want this camera to be right here, right? And then behind me, you see the massive paint rack going left to right. And then on this side, you have 2 cabinets. On the other side, you have 2 cabinets. So that you can just be like, here's all the cool stuff. Because I want you to look at my setup and be just like, hey, I want to go there. And then you can. You need him for my Hammer of Sigmar, boys. You can also use a Ventus Firestrike to devastating effect in a Cities of Sigmar army. If you take Hammer Hall Aksha, you can take an allied Ventus Firestrike, which gives you an extra command point per turn. He's also a fun wizard, throwing lightning bolts out left, right, and centre. So that's fun. Got an itchy leg. Right. Well, it is 11:30. So if anybody hasn't already, please like the stream, because we've got 3 minutes and then we're going to go. Do you guys ever think about the Roman Empire? Literally was talking about this before I came on stream. No, I can't say I do. I think quite a lot about the Napoleonic War, though. Which is weird in this community, right? Because it should be, we should all be thinking about the Roman Empire all the time, because it's this community, right? We have had 57 new members today, which is incredible. So thank you very much. I'm going to see if I can see the viewer activity. So I want to say thank you to Plops of Corn, Captain Mannerings, Mike's Painted Minis, Kataro, Carl of Hodgie, Vicious Goose, Stu McDude, Mark Watson, Captain Mannerings again, Gabriel Lambert, Cameron, Bo Raymond, Jack, Plops of Corn as well. I want to thank you all very much for your incredible generosity. You've been amazing. Love you very much. Thank you very much. We've reached that 300 mark once again. So now we must climb once more to that mythical 500, which we got to for a brief week. But yes, we are having a good time. I love doing these. I really like doing these. I'm glad you enjoy these chatty streams. We'll keep doing them. We'll do some more chatty streams. I wonder if I should do more of them per week. Maybe during the day. Got to keep it above 300 this time. Yeah, we got to. That would be sick. Turn on that auto renew, baby. Let's go. But anyway, thank you very much, chat. It's been emotional. Love it. Love talking to you guys. Love hanging out. And we shall end there on 80 likes. That's a nice round number. I like it. Nice. Wonderful stuff. 20 more likes, please. But yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see you all very soon. Next week for my birthday. I probably will stream on Wednesday as per normal. Which is the day after my birthday. Because I think we're going to go out for dinner. I might stream on my birthday and not stream on Wednesday. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I might stream on the birthday or the day after. Whichever happens. Either way. I will see you all next week, and I will see you all tomorrow with a painting video. Many more painting videos to come, as always. Multiple per week. But I love you all very much, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Here comes the waving hand of goodbye. Bye for now. Bye. Bye. Bye now. Bye now. Beefy boys. Yes, Adam. Yes, Beefy boys. Come along on Tuesday. Come for a birthday, Beefy boys. Let's go. Let's do it. See you later, everybody. Bye. Bye.